And we're live.
Hello. Welcome to Catholic Answers Live, the SuperShow, the show before the show. Edgar, Lujano,
Hey.
the fill-in host, producer of the show.
And assistant host.
Thomas?
Thomas.
I give him a
Thomas.
Thomas.
Tomost.
The TikTok engine.
The
Hi, Thomas.
mostest. Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for coming in here with us.
Happy to be here.
You know, we
As always.
try to think of stories to talk about on this when we do the Super Show,
Mm-hmm.
and you came up with the best story. So congratulations.
It's easy. I look on the internet and see what people are mad about.
Are they mad at Matt Fradd?
Not as mad as they could be.
Wait, why? You think people should be more mad at Matt
No,
Fradd?
not as mad as they could be.
Okay.
They
Not
could
a-
always be madder.
Not
But
as mad as they should be. Is what
I'd,
you're-
I'd say people are rankled on a general scale of how mad they are.
Rankled. That's a new word.
Yeah.
They're rankled.
Yes, they're rankled. They're not infuriated. They're a little perturbed.
I happen to be a fan of Matt Fradd.
Yeah.
That has been growing in recent years. I feel like, I don't know if that's because I have been growing more in my fandom of him or if he has been growing in his, the quality of what he produces. But I'm like, every time I'm like, dang, another good one. Another good one.
Do you know why it's getting better?
No.
Because he has a whole team that does everything else for him, and he could just focus on actually just having conversations.
Could you imagine having that, Thomas?
No.
Oh, how I would love
Team.
that.
People who have to do what
Like
I
a producer? That
Like
kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, if
Oh,
we all had a producer, it would be nice, huh?
say. People have to do what I
Imagine
want them
the
to do.
glory of it. The glory of it.
My goodness.
All right.
All right.
I thought it was going to be because the more time goes by, the longer it's been since Cy had to work with Matt Fradd in the same building.
I never worked with Matt Fradd in the same building.
Oh, so you guys have a great relationship.
I have. I'm sure he doesn't remember it, but I've met him a couple times.
I
And,
aura farm in his old office all the time.
What's Aura Farm? What is? Oh.
Hey, look at Edgar using the Gen Z
Hey, look
language.
at that.
Hey, it was close.
It was good. Close enough.
The attempt was there.
Okay, so Matt
nice.
Fradd. People are mad at him because he said he hates the Pope, or they said he said something bad about Jesus.
Not exactly.
Or he said he only accepts 6 of the 8 Beatitudes. What enraged
Not
the
quite.
populace? No, what was the word you used? Not enraged.
Rankled,
Rankled.
perturbed.
The world.
Well, so to clarify, people aren't like mad at Matt himself. It was something that one of his guests said recently on
The elf.
on his podcast. Yes, the
Father-
elf,
Father Elf.
Father Elf,
Father
the
Elf.
elf priest.
Yeah.
I this is so bad of me. I don't remember his name.
Oh, that is so bad.
Here it
Borba.
is, Father
Oh
Father
my
Borba.
gosh,
Father
unacceptable.
Scott Vincent Borba. I have now remembered off the top of my head. Definitely didn't read it anywhere just now. So Father Borba appeared on Pints with Aquinas, Matt's show, recently, and they posted a couple days ago a clip from that show where Father Borba was answering the question posed by Matt. You know, in so many words, should we be giving money to homeless people on the street, even if we feared that they might use that money for less than savory means, harmful means, perhaps?
Most of my if I'm outside of 7-Eleven, nothing savory is about to happen when I go in there. Like, I don't know. Do you have to be savory? All right, here's the deal, though. You left out one little small detail
Please.
about this, and I find it a salient detail. Matt did not ask him his opinion about this. He asked him Jesus's opinion about this. Because Father Borba claims to have spoken with angels, with saints, with Jesus himself.
No.
So
What?
Yeah,
I didn't watch this whole interview. Did you?
I watched.
Did he say
I
this?
watched a lot of it yesterday. I didn't get through the whole thing, but I watched a lot of it yesterday.
Well, we have the clip.
And, yeah, we have the clip. So the thing is that this wonderful, I was going to say young priest, but new priest. You know, he's a baby priest in that regard. He says his conversion, when he describes the conversion, he tells his conversion story to Matt Fradd, and it involves a lot of very direct communication. Now, I said saints, and now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember if he said saints, but with heavenly personages. So, including St. Michael the Archangel, 2 stories tall, wings as long as a football field.
Nice. That's how you know he's an American priest, because he used the football field unit of measurement.
Well, what would they say? They would say a football pitch if they were.
Yeah, if they were silly people. Yes.
They were.
But okay, so he's reporting supernatural locutions as part of his conversion.
Yeah.
Right. And
Which I have no problem with. I think that kind of stuff happens all the time, way more than we usually talk about.
Yeah.
I do. I would say Matt Fradd is brave because if somebody told me that they were having visions of Jesus, I'd give it 20, 30 years and then I'd let them on the air. I mean, I'd say let's see how this goes.
Can I
But
give
I
you some...
think it's perfectly. That's just a difference in a boldness.
Well, a little inside baseball of Catholic Answers, we get callers who report supernatural events that we can't always put them on the air because they're
Really? Is
proclaiming.
that what's going on in there?
That's what goes on
I
here,
had no
yeah.
idea.
yeah, Edgar's actually working, if you can believe.
So Jesus told me something. They say that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and people say you need to put me on the air because I need to give this message to the masses.
Oh,
And it's
yeah,
like,
no, we can't do that.
sorry, can't
we
do
can't
that.
do that.
Yeah.
No.
Get me in touch with your bishop.
But that's
and we'll
no,
talk.
that's not what Matt Fradd is doing. This guy is
Right.
He's a priest. He's a well-known
Okay.
priest, and
So-
it's an obvious, beautiful conversion story. But I remember Matt asking him at one point, like, "Oh, when you describe this, is it an intellectual experience? Are you?" And he was like, "No, I'm seeing and hearing it just like I'm more clear than I'm seeing and hearing you," which I have heard people say.
Yeah.
That it's hard for me to imagine, but I
Right.
don't doubt it.
Right. Yeah, I know at least one person who's said similar things as well, and I would have described them as perfectly sound in mind and body at the time.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, a hard thing to just dismiss outright.
Oh yeah, I've heard too many of those stories, like about a kid that I taught in high school kneeling down and the crucifix telling him to be a priest.
Right.
like
Right.
Well, I have no reason to doubt that.
Yeah.
I have no
Right.
reason to doubt.
Just
But I
as
do
I
have a
have-
reason. I do have a reason to be cautious about promoting it. That you have to be careful of.
And publicly consulting it for
Right.
theological opinions to be disseminated to the masses,
Right.
perhaps. Because we
So-
have a magisterium for that, right?
Right, and bishops would have to. But
Yeah.
a bishop ordained this priest.
Sure.
So
that's interesting color to add context.
But let's get to. You want me to get on to the point?
Well, is that why we brought it up, just to give context to the
Yes,
question
what's-
that was being
yeah,
asked?
go ahead.
That's
All
good
right.
context, because I didn't know that based on all the discourse that was going on. I didn't know that was the context of the clip that
But
is it about
Jesus
to play?
told them. Yeah.
Well, we'll play
Darren's
the
gonna
play the audio. So Darren, if you
Okay,
want to
good.
hit it.
Even we as Catholics who have been commanded
That's
to
Matt
love
Fradd.
the poor, to give to those who beg of us, we hear something that's true. Well, if you give money to them, you don't know how they'll use it. But we use that to justify our indifference and calloused heart to the lady or the fella at the stoplight.
He literally told me, never turn away somebody asking for something, especially the homeless. He says, because you cannot project on them what you think they're going to use the money for.
I see.
He said, you give them the money and he will do the rest. He will guide them to use the money the way he thinks it should be used. But that's not
your responsibility.
that is not your responsibility. You be appropriate. You be prudent. You give them what you need. If you're not able to give them food, like I always keep sacks in my car, you give them food. If you can't do that, you buy cards for Subway or for a restaurant, McDonald's, so they can get a meal. But if you only have cash in your pocket, you give them something and you do not worry about it after you give it to them. God will take the rest. You've done your part, and that's what God wanted you to do.
Okay, so when he says he told me, he's referring to the Lord.
Okay, that
So-
is a really interesting antecedent to that pronoun that I don't think anyone online who's discussing this is aware of.
Well, let's get to the topic though, because
Yeah.
I imagine the three of us are going to have tremendous disagreements about this. But I thought what Matt Fradd said was pretty close to perfect. I thought he was right on. I was like internally cheering for him as he said it, and I have no idea if Jesus said that, because look, even the priest who has the experience of Jesus saying something, he doesn't know for sure what parts of any of this is his imagination, what parts of it are the presentation of the Lord himself. None of us know those things, so we can't ever say with a kind of philosophical absolute God,
Metaphysical certainty
told me
as
to
our-
tell you.
Yeah.
That. I mean, I at least it would be extreme. Most of the time, we'd have to say, look, this is something that happened to me, and I don't know all the details of it. I don't know how my assumptions, how my will, how my imagination, all of that color what passes through my mind. But I agree with this priest too. I'm really, I don't think this is said enough. Jesus said to give to all those who beg from you. Now, we know that all of Jesus' precepts and commands have to be taken into consideration alongside all of his other commands. You don't ever take one out and go, that's it. That's the whole story. So, Jesus's kind of his call to us to respond to him and the very many commands he gives us, I think that, and through the apostles and that he gives us himself, would instruct us that you can't take that to mean, look, here's my child starving. I've got one piece of bread. A beggar says, give me that bread. And Jesus said, well, give to all those. No, of course not. You have to use reason and balance and prudence and all that. But if it's between me and the beggar, if it's like, oh, could I have a piece of bread? Then I think I am under a pretty heavy obligation to give that beggar that bread.
What about money? Would you give them money?
I do all the time.
Really?
All the time. Yeah.
I am the complete opposite
I
of
keep
you.
$500 bills in my glove compartment.
I'm kind of
You give
tight
them
on
500s?
cash, yeah.
I give him I keep $500
That's
bills.
called
Boy, I'm in the
scamming.
I'm in the wrong line of work, dude.
Yeah, I print them out on put a printer in there.
This must be a nice printer, man.
Sorry, where are all the 7-Elevens closest to your house? I need a schedule.
I am a complete opposite of you. I don't know if it's part of my upbringing and seeing some of that stuff, but I am a complete pessimist when it comes to that. And I know that is a flaw on my end, but I have come to the point where I refuse to give beggars money.
What?
I will buy them food. And then there's been times when, again, they take advantage on that too. But I have no problem buying food. If you want food, I'll buy you food. But I will not give money because to me, it's like you're either scamming or you're going to buy drugs. And that's the first thing that comes to mind. Call me a pessimist. Call me not doing the Lord's will, but
Pessimist, not doing the Lord's will.
thank you. All right, there you go. That's kind of where I'm at.
This is really interesting because you're right, Sai. I think we all kind of different on this. I'm kind of right in between on both of those ends of it because it is really straightforward. It seems really straightforward to give to him who asks of you. And don't be turning over in your mind like what are all the possible consequences that could happen to this person if I give him money right here, right now. But I really resonate strongly also with this is still on the side of give to him. I really resonate strongly with what Matt was saying at the beginning of that clip that like even if you're correct that even if Edgar you're correct that it's a bad idea to give this to someone, and I'm not saying that you're like this, but for me personally, it is very easy for me to brush aside any guilt or any obligation that I might feel towards the poor because I can just tell myself, they'll use it on drugs anyway, so I'm gonna walk on by and not not give to the lowest of the low, right? Not fulfill that Christian charity. At the same time, though, so that's what pulls me in the direction of yes, you should give, but also I recognize that. The definition of love is to will the good of the other, right? And if you have a reasonable, if you're reasonably certain, and not certain beyond a shadow of a doubt, but if you have a good reason to think that someone who takes the money you give them is going to use it to cause themselves harm, to buy drugs,
right.
to get blackout drunk, something like that, then I think that is a pretty compelling case to not give that person money. Now, how reasonably certain you are about that, there's a lot that goes into that. Do you know this person well? Do they have a needle around them right then and there?
But I've seen that.
Okay.
And I do, like, if somebody's like nodding off and, the next bag that they buy could kill them, I look at that person and I'm like, no, I can't help you.
Right.
Like and usually if a person's nodding off, they don't want food. If you go, well, how would you like a hamburger? They'll be like, yeah, no, thank you. So, but I agree with you. I think you have to be prudent, but I don't think that's what Matt was saying. I don't think he was arguing against prudence. He was arguing for a kind of trusting generosity. That doesn't mean a stupid generosity. It means a trusting generosity. Now, you would draw the line between stupid and not stupid farther over.
Yes,
I think.
very much so.
Yeah.
Look. Food is one thing. I agree with Father Borba. Carry gift cards
Yeah.
Gift cards is one thing.
That
Look,
seemed like good advice.
yeah, it's like I know you're going to buy food with this. And if you really want to buy drugs, you can do it because you can then sell the card and get cash. But I'm at least restricting it to an extent for you to be able to only purchase food.
Yeah. Near my house, I don't know if the two of you know this. I'm going to share something personal that I don't usually share
live
with
in the
people.
ghetto?
No, I drink a lot of Diet Coke. So there's a McDonald's near my house.
Wait, can I? Just in case people don't believe it, here you go.
Not a sponsor.
But there's
Not a
also
sponsor.
there's also a train tracks and some stuff where you could build a little homeless camp. So there's usually a homeless camp near the McDonald's. So you can easily go through when you get your Diet Coke and go, give me 4 $5 gift cards or whatnot, and you can give them out. But so that's easy. So that one to me makes sense because look, you're standing right here. McDonald's is right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually being helpful to you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, you're in a place where I don't know that there's nothing around. So, here, take this. Take this Blimpies card. I know there's a Blimpies in Chicago. Good luck to you.
Not going to give you a ride.
The most ironic thing to me, one of the times that I tried to offer food to somebody who was homeless, they were holding a sign on the side of the road, and it said, "Anything will help." Anything. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I drive up. I'm driving this big old truck when I used to pick up milk from dairies, and we're in the middle of nowhere, but there's restaurants in this area.
I know what you did. He said, "Anything will help," and you sang.
And I said, "Hey man, you want some food? I'll go get you some food." He's like, "Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good, thanks. You got any cash?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to give you cash."
Better fix that sign.
Okay,
brother.
Yeah, right. Anything.
Clearly, not everything helps, so I'm not going to do it.
Well, yeah, but it would be ridiculous to go. There's not a lot of scamming on the street or hustling on the street, but a lot of hustling is because people are desperate too. People they are not. Look, there's people out there who are there because they just want to drink and do drugs. Of course, not everybody who's drinking and doing drugs is there because they want to drink and do drugs. They are in the throes of their addiction. So you can't just go, well, they just want to drink and do. No, sometimes they're stuck, and but no, I was going somewhere with this, and I completely forgot where I was going. Okay, I don't remember, but you did bring up this point. I had a really good point, Thomas. I want you to believe me.
I don't.
You've had enough good points.
He's been through this enough with me. Like, you started down a road. You didn't know where the end of that road was.
I'm the middle guy, so I'm giving you the olive branch.
I don't have cash a lot.
Yeah,
I don't.
Do I.
So I need people to take Venmo. I don't know what else to do.
Have you seen
people, you just don't have cash as much anymore.
But now people who are on the street who, because of they're able to get phones and everything through government programs, they'll say, "Have you ever had anybody come up to you and say, I'll take Venmo or I'll take Cash App?" I've had people come up to me and do that too. It's like, "Sorry, man, I don't have any cash," and they're like, "Oh, I'll take Venmo or you have Cash App," and it's like, I'm not gonna Venmo you or Cash App you, like. Sell your phone. Go get yourself some food. Like, what are you doing? Come on, man.
You can't be that.
You are
hungry.
hardcore, man.
No, the other thing is if you have a phone, you have the ability to make money too. Like, if you have a phone, you can go and deliver for DoorDash. If you're especially if you're in a populated area like downtown, go and run food. I did that.
Okay, that's fair enough, Edgar. I think, like Chris Check said to us the other day, let him who won't work or refuses to work,
not eat.
Yeah, with St. Paul, right?
Yeah, quoting St. Paul. There is that side of it. I won't deny that side of it, but a lot of people on the street are going through stuff you cannot see.
Yep.
You just can't. The physical eyes cannot see it. Some of that is their own baloney. A lot of it is not. So I feel like I definitely am more on the team of give to people. And I don't think if someone is falling down drunk and goes, "Hey, will you buy me a shot of whiskey?" you should buy them a shot of whiskey. That's obviously just dumb. You could... there might be nothing you can, and sometimes there is nothing you can do for a person. I also sometimes feel overwhelmed, like I don't know, like over here in Santee or something. You might be driving and you might see 10 people in a row in what appears to be genuine need, or if you're walking, at a certain point, it can actually become kind of overwhelming. So I feel like there's what St. Francis would do was just keep taking things off until he didn't have anything on. He'd get arrested by the El Cajon police, and that would be that. But
For a
and he
decent
wouldn't care.
exposure.
He'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'll sit in prison and talk to people about Jesus in prison." He wouldn't care. But I think most people have to. There has to be a balance. So I don't think you can be. No, you can be. You can be hardcore. I'm going to give to everybody who begs from me. In which case, you will. Suffer and become a saint. But you can't do that when your children are hungry. You can't do that when you have a spouse to take care of.
Then you are no longer
Definitely.
virtuous.
That's not virtue.
Definitely. And one way you feed the hungry is by feeding your child and your spouse,
And they are
so
hungry
on,
frequently.
Is that true, Darren? Is that true? Would you say that it counts to feed your children?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Darren provides 15 meals a day to children.
It's outstanding.
And a snack.
I'm gonna
I
make
can't believe
I'm
that.
gonna make a statement about Darren, and I think he's gonna agree with me. You go to the grocery store every single day.
That's just to get away from them. That's just to get a break.
Oh, I know.
Right or no?
No, but when we go, we stock up, so we don't
Yeah.
have to go every day.
Yeah, it's the Costco trip with the U-Haul, right?
But I do feel like we are at an
Something of an impasse, or
well, one thing that very much I do feel like that you can develop a skill really, which is to see people who are in anguish. All right, so there's this young man in my neighborhood who's there sometimes, there not sometimes, and he is so obviously mentally anguished. Nothing I've ever seen in him shows any suggestion to me that he's using any kind of drugs or alcohol. He really doesn't seem like it. Now, I could be completely fooling myself, but he's an obviously anguished person. I don't know what he's struggling with. He's also, I mean, there's kind of a reward that I already get when I give him anything because he's so delighted to get everything. Like, he's just such a nice person. But I'm never going to say no to that guy. Never going to say no. And I don't think you would say no to him.
No, probably not.
I don't. I think there's. So I don't know.
So
I feel like I'm going round and round now.
No, this sounds like a concrete application of prudence, right? In action. It seems
Right.
like you, Sai, have been around the block enough, literally and figuratively, to kind of have a good read on whether someone is likely to be scamming you or not.
Well-
in this particular regard, I'm not talking about the random numbers that call your phone. That's your business. But if they're offering 10,000 cases of Diet Coke, say no. But as far as being able to get a read on a beggar and whether giving them money is going to harm them or not, it seems like you're saying you've sort of developed a sense for that maybe other
Well,
people
no,
haven't.
I think you can develop a sense for
can.
that. Like you can
Yeah.
by paying attention and not being. I think you could, but wouldn't you say you would rather get scammed than face Jesus someday and he'll go, that guy needed food.
That is usually where I lean. That's usually the direction I lean towards a little bit.
Right.
So yeah, I remember this one occasion. I came out of the grocery store in the parking lot and I saw a mom there with children, and I walked up and I knew it. I was at that point. I was like, ask what they need, right? Maybe don't give money directly. And so I said, "What do you guys need?" She said, "Food, please." And went back into Vaughn's, got a couple sandwiches, and gave it to them. Were they scamming? Was this a mom of a well-off family who brought her kids out there to garner sympathy for passersby? Maybe, but I wasn't going to take that chance right then and there. And that's where I think I forgot his name again, but Matt Fradd's priest guest, Father
Borba.
Elf,
Father Borba.
Father Borba. That's where I think his advice. His alleged advice from Jesus himself comes into play is you give them, in this case, the food, and he will do the rest. You don't project on them what you think they're going to use the money for, right? And in this case, the food.
Yeah.
With money, it's a little more fraught because you don't know what so-and-so is going to use it for. So that's why when you actually turn it into tangible goods, the risk is a little less. But
Well,
that's to your point, to the point that you were making, that yes, I felt more comfortable in that moment thinking that maybe they were scamming me. Maybe they could have been scamming me, but I would rather take that risk and just give that.
Well, I will say too. Go
The
ahead.
immediate danger thing, or in a situation like that, I see it. I mean, I've been in situations like that where the Central Valley gets to like 115 degrees in the summertime. And there have been times when I'm on my way to the gym and I just bought myself a big old thing of like ice cold water, and I see the guy on the corner begging. It's like, dude, you're gonna die of heat exhaustion out here. It doesn't matter if you're scamming or not. You need cold water. And I remember at the stoplight, he kind of looks at me, and I hold up my water and I just do this, and you could see just the look on his face, and he's like, yes.
Right.
So I handed it to him. A poor guy, like situations like that. But I do want to make.
So you're not a completely heartless.
I'm not a heartless, horrible.
No, you're not. I don't think. I don't think you are. No, I don't.
But go on.
It's just the thought of like, am I going to get scammed by you, and are you going to cause harm to yourself if I give you this? I want to read a quick comment by Justin Webster, because I think he makes an interesting point. He says, I hear a lot of people with opinions on this issue who have never had a close relationship with a long-term homeless person. Unless you've known such a person, you're lacking some perspective. And maybe I am lacking perspective, or maybe I don't understand where you're coming from.
What would? Go ahead.
That's the thing. I don't know what the perspective is, because then he goes and he comments, my father was homeless by choice for 15 years, and it changed my view on this issue completely. So
Well, he follows up shortly afterwards. He says, in my opinion, handing over the cash is the easier and less moral choice most of the time. It takes more time, effort, and caring to actually have a conversation and offer food or real non-cash assistance. And then a little later. So it's not that it's just now. It's not that it's necessarily bad, though it can be to give cash, but it's better and more moral to give food or similar.
Well,
yeah, I agree with him on that. That's where my mindset is coming from.
I mean, the thing is, I do think the nice thing about like going in and getting someone food or taking them in with you or all that is that there is that neighborliness, which is a value in itself. The treating the person as your brother or sister, I think that's a good in itself. I have to disagree with Justin, though, that I don't think that says anything about whether or not you should give people money. I don't think those things are related. A lot of times you're in your car. A lot of times you're watching a light turn, and you have to make a decision right now. I've got this $100 bill right here that I took out of the bank this morning.
To buy Diet Coke?
To get Diet Coke. By the way, I'm totally lying, just in case.
To buy my weekly
I
stash of Diet Coke?
I don't have $100 bills in my car.
Not a
But
sponsor.
I could reach over here into the well of the car and hand it over or not. So my sense, what I would say is, unless you have a grave reason not to, hand it over. That's what and the grave reason could be, no, I've seen this person, buying heroin too many times. I'm not sure that this is a good thing. I'm just going to be buying heroin for them.
I'm glad you brought up St. Francis a few minutes ago, because the response on Twitter, the response to this on Twitter that got the most attention came from friend of Catholic Answers, Father Gabriel Mosher of the Dominican Order. He's written a couple really, really good camo articles, website articles for us.
On Just War Theory? Did he?
Yes, he wrote the one on Just War Theory, and he
was fantastic.
Wrote
Father.
the recent one on.
He did a great job.
He wrote the recent one a week or two ago about the Vatican is too rich. Why doesn't the Vatican sell everything? So great priest, friend of Catholic Answers. He said about the take on pints, about you give them money and God will do the rest. Father Gabriel replied, "This is terrible advice. First rule I learned from people who work intimately with people on the streets, Franciscans, is that you never, under any circumstances, ever hand out money. Prudence is a real virtue." Now, he doesn't elaborate on that because it's a tweet.
I'm sorry, but that's just wrong. That's not right. Never under any circumstance. That is not right.
And
he's not right.
He's reporting this from Franciscans, so those guys have definitely walked the walk, right? Like they work intimately with people on the streets. But it seems to me, if I was going to try to draw out the argument from this, is it seems to me like the odds, maybe they're saying, the odds of this person using this money to harm themselves in a horrible way are so high that you just shouldn't run that risk ever by giving them cold hard cash. Not saying anything about food or getting scammed for something less dramatic. But as far as money goes,
I would respectfully suggest that Father's intervention is wrong. That it's more likely to me that Matt Fradd had this correct than Father Mosher does, because there are obviously times when you should give money to people. There are clearly times when you should give money to people. So the idea, I mean, Jesus, I think, gave money to people. I think that's a pretty clear inference from the Gospels, is that Jesus gave money to people. He had a money purse. He would say, give this to the poor. So it's clearly not correct to say absolutely under no circumstances should you do this. I think there are certainly questions of prudence, but that strikes me as a desire to have more control than you can really have. That let it go. Let it go. Cast your bread upon the water.
I wish he had followed up a little more with what the Franciscans said, with these Franciscans in questions said you should do instead. What is a better thing to do? Because I think it's the question that goes unasked after this is like, if I'm not giving him money, does that mean I just keep on walking and ignore, Christ among the lowest of the low? Like he identifies himself with the poor, with the hungry, with the needy, right? So if I'm not going to give them something that's right in my pocket right now that could help them, what am I supposed to do other than just keep going about my day? That seems like the very kind of callous indifference that he tried so strongly to warn us against, right?
And didn't you think that was Matt Fradd's point?
Yes, I did. I thought that was a great point by Matt Fradd. So I think we got this conversation off on the wrong foot when we said people are mad at Matt himself. I think they're mad at
Father Borba.
At Father Borba. Thank you for picking me up with his name over and over again. At him for saying you never ever ever deny people. And so we got two priests going at it. We got never ever deny and never ever give. Another response, if I can continue, the other response that I thought was really good came from Thomas Myris, editor-in-chief of CatholicCulture.org. He's got pretty good takes for the most part, I think.
They do a good job, Catholic Culture.
They do.
I enjoy their stuff, yeah.
So, we can put a name to that. His commentary was, Christ says to give to whoever asks. Does that mean we always have to give something to a panhandler? Well, Christ also says that whatever we ask in his name, the Father will give us. And yet, the Epistle of James says that God often does not answer prayers because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. This verse provides a hermeneutic to the one about giving to everyone who asks. So, sounds like we are to exercise prudence and find out if this is going to harm someone or not.
I think there's a very hard rule here. If you use the word hermeneutic, you're not in the conversation anymore. You're out. So
Sorry, Pope Benedict.
Thank you for trying to play, but out.
Benedict has left the
I don't even know what that
conversation.
means. What he means is there's a hermeneutic here, which is to say that Scripture has to be read in the light of other Scripture and in the light of prudence. We already said that. That doesn't mean you get off the hook.
We already said that. He was making this as his contribution to the overall discourse. But
I find some of this a little bit morally too precise. Like a little bit of, Jesus said give it, but let's start with what he said.
Right.
And let's see how we can do what he said with the qualifications that are appropriate, not how can we get out of doing what he said.
Thomas got us another response, but this is by Dr. Michael Cirillo. He's a professor at Franciscan University. He said, no, that's not loving. You give them food. Kimberly Hahn and my wife would bring them ready-to-eat meals. Often they would refuse, and we direct them to the local Christian shelter where they can get a meal, a warm bed, and assistance to get off the streets. Some took that opportunity, but most don't.
Again, why is that an either or? He's saying we did these things and they were good, therefore you don't give money. One does not disqualify the other. Sometimes you are in your car, there's a homeless kid standing next to you, he's a teenager, he looks like a wreck, you're worried about him, he goes, hey man, you got something that I can get something to eat? Give him the money. That's very nice little sentiment that he did, but that has nothing to do with the actual situation. The kid needs money, give him the money. What are you doing?
So Emiliano's really hungry. Can I borrow $100?
I've got $500 bills in my car.
I mean, it seems like this really comes down to, maybe I don't want to be reductive. It seems like most of this comes down to how certain are you that someone who receives money off the street is going to shoot up with it, Like how
It
how
doesn't
certain
matter.
Are you of
It
that?
doesn't matter if you're certain or not. So I guess what Sai is saying is it doesn't matter. Give them money. It sounds like that's what Father Borba
Well,
said.
unless I had a grave reason not to give the kid, like I'm looking at this kid, and I can see something about this situation tells me no, don't. Like I think you actually have to make a snap judgment in that. Like your best prudence has to be applied, and you go, this just looks like a desperate kid to me. I don't want this desperate kid to be alone. I'm in traffic. I can't stop. I can't get out of the car. I can't go make a food packet. He can have the $5. That's what I'm, and that seems to me the point that Matt Fradd made in far fewer words and with much less annoyance. But I'm sorry, saying, look, there's all these other nice things you can do.
Yeah.
Is not an answer to should you give money to someone who asks you for money. That's not an answer to that question. It's an answer to a different question.
Can I tell you, read to you what Mr. 95 said?
Oh, yes.
I used to be homeless using drugs, and 99% of everyone on the streets was using. Many of them didn't seem like zombies. Again, I'm not telling anyone else to give or not, but I will go buy drugs, or I will go to.
It will go to drugs.
It will go to drugs. There you go.
Yeah, I can tell you something. Because I didn't want to say this. I really,
Now he's gonna say it.
You
He's
know,
gonna
I spent
say
a
it.
lot of years on the street. That's what drug addicts say. They say everybody's shooting up. Yeah, because you're a drug addict. That's what you think. That's not the reality. All right, like it's like that's like those exorcists who talk to demons and go, the demon told me that Mary hates that. You don't believe demons. You don't believe addicts. All right, you believe your own prudence.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I know that you're. No, I don't. Let me start over. I think what really resonates so much is that there is an internal component to this whole conversation, right? Which is that am I trying to find a way to weasel out of the commands of the gospel? That seems to be what underlies. That seems to be what underlies a lot of your consternation right now, and again, what Brad was going at.
The thing is, I don't think most of these people are trying to weasel out of it. If you are, there's a very easy answer to that. Stop it. You absolutely must
not
stop it.
consciously
If you realize that about yourself, you
It
must
sounds
stop
like
it.
most of the people aren't weaseling out. They're saying give, but don't give in a way that can lend itself to people to buy drugs. It seems like most of the people, at least here in the comments, are saying buy them food, buy them gift cards in ways that'll lead them to actually give them something that's not going to harm
I
them.
agree. Do all those things.
Okay, but now you also keep bringing up like sometimes you're just in your car and all you have is money, and your point is that if you can't give them food, which is less risky,
Or your time, or anything else.
if you can't give them something that's less risky, don't keep second guessing and asking all these questions. You should still your instinct should still be to give.
Yeah.
Regardless.
But I would also like to admit there are many, many times I have just driven by the person in need. Many, many times. So,
I think a lot of us have.
I'm not a saint. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say what you should do when you are really trying to follow Jesus. I think even though most of us fail at it most of the time, I do think there's a lot of reasoning past the plain words and example of the Lord here. And you got to be very careful not to reason your way past what Jesus is plainly telling you to do. You can say, look, give to all those who beg from you, doesn't mean in some absolute, trap sense that you are right, but it does mean give to all those who beg from you. So what does the Lord mean by that? You can't just get out of it by going, well, he didn't mean it.
Yeah,
He said it, and he's God.
I do think that's the thing we have to watch out for all the time. Is that's what I was getting at with the weaseling out of the commands. Which that's a little harsh maybe because we're not consciously trying to do that, but yeah, it's all too easy to read these plain words and say, well, they don't mean that, and then just leave it there. I see this happen. I think this happens in apologetics writ large a lot of the time. Like, no, that doesn't disprove our belief, and then we just don't argue for what does demonstrate our belief. But in this case, it's actually as amounts to practical action. No, Jesus doesn't mean I give to absolutely everyone, even the guy with needles sticking out of his arm.
Right.
But that
Or the
shouldn't.
guy who's loading his revolver as he's asking.
But that shouldn't.
No, that guy actually I would give to. I take that back. That guy I would give to.
Yeah, but that shouldn't stop the conversation right then and there, and it shouldn't make us swing all the way to the other direction of just never give them money or never give them food because they are scamming you. for some reason. Like our instinct should still be to just receive the teaching and live it out, right?
That, more than our instinct. Yeah, that should be our will, our choice should be to receive the teaching. That's exactly right, Thomas. That is exactly, but that's what I think everybody here is trying to do. I think of all the people who spoke on this, Matt Fradd said it the best. I thought it was just perfect what he said, just perfect. Edgar?
I got no other thoughts. No, that ends.
You guys want to play rock, paper, scissors, or you want to go on to the next story?
Maybe we close with one more opinion that I think kind of wraps up nicely, which came from another friend of Catholic Answers, Eric Sammons, editor-in-chief of Crisis Mag, who said, people have strong opinions on this topic, but really it's a personal decision. There's nothing wrong with giving some cash to a homeless person, but there's also no obligation. Our responsibility is to give alms as best we can, but we can't totally control what happens to them. I think after our discussion, I might quibble with the no obligation part. That seems to be not quite in line with what's encapsulated in the plain meaning of give to people who ask from you. But he is correct about saying our responsibility is to give alms as best we can. That seems
without question. If you don't, you're going to go to hell. That's what Jesus said.
Strong words.
If you don't,
sheep and the goats.
If you don't visit the sick and feed the hungry and clothe the naked and I can't remember the other ones. I'm not really good at remembering the Bible.
A couple more to check off there.
Matthew 25, read it. I mean, he's telling you exactly what's going to happen if you don't. Now, every single person that has been involved in this conversation is a person who I'm sure does. It doesn't strike me that anybody is one of those people. But for anybody else listening, if you don't care for the poor, you're going to hell.
It's hard to get around.
Yeah.
So we should stop trying.
That's a works-based religion, Si. Stop it.
Yeah.
No, the Protestant barges in the door. No, we're not talking about you right now. Stop it.
I didn't say it's the only way to go to hell. Like, not having faith would be another way. But it's a sure way.
Can we just say, sorry, I know we're kind of summing up this conversation, but I want to acknowledge Shellback Bo's grandpa just passed away about 40 minutes ago. So can we just say quickly say glory be for the eternal rest of her grandpa's soul?
Wait, tell me who it is.
Shellback Bo.
Oh, she's here all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So let's pray quick glory be. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Holy Spirit.
If everyone else in the chat would do that as well.
All right, Peace Brothers. I did it again, Edgar. I tell you I'm not going to get emotional, and then I get emotional.
I'm glad you did.
I'm
glad you did.
Yeah, because you like to see me make a fool of myself.
Ow.
I told you I got emotional the other day, so it's only fair.
You got emotional on the air the other day, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was when we were talking about the Odyssey, I think.
Which is the most emotional subject for you.
No, we were talking about.
This is what he did. Just hang on a second. Matt David is the greatest actor.
No, that is not
He's
true.
the greatest actor ever.
No,
it's not wrong.
No, we were talking about Christian phobia. And you said, what does it matter? Stop complaining. Stop trying to be a victim. I was like, well, if that's the case, you can't say anything about the Christians in Nigeria who are being massacred right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I got
You
a
were
little
probably
emotional.
right on that. I think that is when you get emotional, when you're
Yeah.
probably a little bit right about it, and then you get on your high horse.
You got 10 minutes. You want to do another story? You want to stop it there?
I'm going to go change my shirt for the show. We got William Albrecht first hour.
First hour, we're doing responding to orthodoxy
Second hour, we have a brilliant Catholic theologian. So
with Bible questions.
with Bible questions.
Nice.
Do you know who it is?
Edgar?
Nope.
You said brilliant.
Oh my God.
Rough crowd.
Wow. What a
Kidding.
bunch of
Love
good-
you, Edgar.
It's Tom Nash.
Tom
we got
Nash.
We got William Albrecht first hour talking about orthodoxy. We got second hour, we're talking about the Bible with Tom Nash, and I'll ask him, Tom, Jesus said, give to all those who beg from you. What do you think that means? You think I should ask him that?
You gonna get in a fight with Tom?
No. Tom's
emotional with
Tom's
Tom?
really good. He's a very measured person. I admire him. He's a very measured. He'll be consider this, and then I tell him, well, you're not invited over to my house anymore because you made
No more dinner for you.
you made me think.
No
You're
more
not gonna
food for
give-
you.
Not going to give to Edgar when he asks of you.
All right, so we'll be right back after a few minutes.